It is now time for you as unlocking Duel Links, our newest 7th world character, bringing fusions to the game for the very first time, definitely not brought in with Cyber Dragons, but Yuo is going to be a very cool character because the moment Metarions are already seeing play, and they're being played with generic skills such as vanilla cards or whatever. So in terms of his event rewards, right, first of all, we've got some cool sleeves, playmat, it's nice, no logo, that's great. We're also getting a Chronicle part, which says Game Mat Fusion, which I think is obviously going to be wrong. It's just weird they haven't corrected it. Usually they're pretty on the ball with this stuff, but they haven't said anything about it, which is a bit weird. And then again, with the stamp, right, it says Game Mat. So, a little bit weird. But in terms of new cards, right, first of all, is Fire Jester. Now, this was used by him in the anime, sure. It's probably not going to see play in Rush Duel in Duel Links. Given I believe the skill does this for you, right, one of the skills at least does this for you, and so I don't think having it as a monster is all that great, but the UR, Ladon Star, is really good. Now, Metarions in general, they're made up of a magic reactor plus another card, and then another card determines what card type the card gets bonuses of or can interact with. So in case of Ladon Star, it's dinosaurs, so either you can debuff your opponent's dinosaurs by 2000, which is really big, but there's no real dino decks in Duel Links at the moment, so this isn't great. The first effect, though, is really good in a debuff of just one card in general by 1500 attack and defense, which means it can beat maximums, it can beat any fusions of the game, and so Yuo feels like the whole reason fusion exists, and that's the whole point in the anime. He was the one that brought it in, and so given you've got heroes with one fusion, Cyber Dragons really with one fusion because you don't really summon Cyber End, 7-0, Dragius all have one fusion, Yuo has 3 or 4, and that makes him mechanically unique in Duel Links and probably going to be the most fun fusion deck on release, so we'll have to see how good he is. But of course, let's go through his new cards, new skills. We'll also talk about the current cards as well, see how they're being played at the end. But first of all, is Gyakuten Megami, an old school Kaiba vanilla. This might be okay because of the defense, right? And I believe a skill works with it, whether we play or not, we'll have to see. But having 2k defense on a 1 tribute is really, really solid. So, because you think 7 Red Witch, I think, is like 1200 defense, and so if you're just saying this on turn 1, it's not awful. Then level 7 is going to be the new form of it, Gyakuten Megami, which I would have hoped would have been a Monarch-esque card, right, by tributing the OG, you summon this, but no, you've got to summon the original, and now the body, tribute them both. Now, if you have got the original in your graveyard, you draw 1 card, then mill 1, which, okay, that's fine. Then, if you mill a monster, you can pop 2 monster opponent controls of the same type. So, in Metarion itself, if you're popping a machine, then Cyber Dragons, they're going bye-bye. Spellcast Dragons, again hitting 7's Road, and Dragius. Unfortunately, there's no real targets for Galaxy right now. Maybe in the future if we get more support. This is a really cool boss if you can pull it off. And I hope there is a deck that uses this because it does seem really, really cool. Then we've got level 10, a new fusion, the Hercules Star, which is the Spellcaster one. Okay, so you recur a card from your graveyard back to the bottom of the deck. That's really, really big. We like graveyard interactions, that's cool. So either you shuffle up the 3 bodies from your opponent's graveyard into their deck, which is really, really big again for things like Cyber Dragon, or Innovator, or Psychic as well, could be good matchups, or you shuffle up the 2 spellcast monsters your opponent controls back into the deck, which of course can't beat the new Magical Knight Fusion, that's fine. Bewitch, Magician, Sorcerer, etc., Dark Magician, they can be beaten by this, which is really, really cool. I just the whole concept of these cards is really, really cool, especially given that so far, Rush Duel Fusion decks have just been kind of one-trick ponies, I guess is a way to kind of put them. Then of course we've got skill tickets, we've got, again, 2nd copies, and then going to be 3rd copies again as well. So, kind of standard for Rush Duel character level ups, right? It's not the most exciting thing in the world, but in terms of playable cards, Yuo is definitely up there with some of the better characters, I think. Then for skills of the default one, Rush Duel Metarion, which does give you all the materials in your deck plus the fusion, which is really, really cool. Metarion Script, this one is kind of the go-to skill, I believe, because it does set up your new SR card, the Reactor, in that you can dump Reincarnation to the graveyard. And so, if it's in your graveyard, you summon Reactor, you can then put it back into your deck, and then draw 2, which is massive. It also puts Actor in the graveyard for Star Restart, or it gives you an Arc Turbo from your deck graveyard to your hand. Now, this can be really, really big for, again, clearing maximums, or clearing fusions, if you can't quite see the cards you need. Now, this is probably a one-off if you're playing this version of the deck, I've been played against it, it's been really, really good. But if your monster has 4,500 more attack points, your opponent takes a battle damage, which does make sense, right? So you are going to be getting the benefit of the stronger big body, but where this shines right now, given the maxims aren't really seeing play, is against fusions. And so if you are buffing up a 1,400 body, with action in the graveyard becomes 2,900, can beat over most fusions we have, and so this is a fairly cool skill. Then we've got Shining Miracle. It does lock you into basically all lights and all your fairies, so your Gakutenmagamis can be played. Make the original attack of one face up 6 or 7 fairies that you control 26, which is really big because that's exactly what the Dragon skill does, and that makes that good. It now makes your Gakutenmagami a 26, which for one tribute is really, really good. Then you also get to dump your Acta and your Fusion for next turn for Star Restart. I kind of think this one might be the go-to. It is a bit slower, but it kind of gives you more power in the turn you want it. It does seem like the attack point buff one is not once per duel, it's only really the secondary effect. I believe, hopefully, that's correct, because if true, then I think there's a universe where Gakutenmagami sees play in 2024, which would be really, really cool. Then there's a skill for Gakutenmagami, which does the whole attack and defense debuff, right, that the Jester does. If there's a Megami on your field, you can shuffle a card from your hand to the deck to add the upgraded form from your deck to your hand. So it does get you there. If you are trying to main a build where this is your main combo, then fair enough. Again, it is a fun card. It does seem really fun to play. It is a bit risky, but you could in theory go and beeline a whole Light Machine deck, put this in, and then have an anti-meta pick for those Cyber Dragon decks, which, you know, probably won't work out very well when you face a 7th row deck, but I'm sure 9% of the time it'll be fine. Then we've got Fusion Deal, which is like Hammer Crush Deal. Just sets a fusion from your hand, you get to draw one. Pretty good. It is only on Yuo though, which is a bit weird. I would have thought they would have put it on Yuga as well, and Luke, given they both can use Fusion. But maybe we'll get it down the line, hopefully, fingers crossed. Then, just again, we've got Spearhead Draw, which is what's being played with at the moment with Metarions. We've got Blue Medicine Deal, Hammer Crush Deal, Light Race Draw 1, Side Reverse Draw, and Seal the Ancients. So, overall, Yuo's looking really, really cool in terms of skills, in terms of cards. I do like this one, right? This one does seem like the most pushed skill in that it's making Reincarnation a +2. But this one, I just feel like in the current metagame, right, where you have got Cyber Dragons coming out, and you do want to find ways of beating them, that this can do it. This can give you fields where you're not beating a Cyber Twin Dragon, you are beating the Assault Dragon, the Search Dragon, etc., where you may not have been able to before. And I could be completely wrong. I could be completely wrong on that one, right? It could just be that script skill is by far the best one. I could be coping so hard. But this is how we're currently seeing Metarion being played in tournaments. It's winning tournaments as well, which is really cool. They're playing a small ether package, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but it can work out given you do play a lot of fusion in this deck, right? Usually in other builds, right, heroes, right, you're playing one fusion because you can recur it. But in Metarion, given you want to summon 2, 3, 4 fusions in a duel, you want to see as many fusions as possible. And so this engine works better in this deck than others. We've got the Reactor, of course, which works with a brand new skill. Star Restart is really, really big, right? It can give you 2 fusions in one turn. You summon one, then materials in the graveyard, bring back out the Actor, add a fusion back, play it again. Type Change Beam is really cool because it then means that you can make any fusion you want. And if you do want the whole send back 2 spellcasters, then you can do a Type Change Beam. If you do want to use the Metana Shurstar to make them warriors and become really, really big, you could do that as well. Or the Ritual Star, make them all dragons, and they can become dragons, and then you could pop them. So, yeah, this deck seems very versatile. Is it going to be as good as Cyber Dragon? We'll have to wait and see. But it does seem like a really fun fusion deck compared to the other ones. It is a bit less linear. So I'm going to go and try and farm Yuo right now. I finally have got every card I need from the 2 boxes. Got to go into structure decks now. Probably going to be playing Heroes tomorrow, then Metarion's probably Tuesday, if I have to kind of assume a schedule. Maybe that'll change, but look forward to that one. Anyway, I'll see you next one's video. Adios.